Welcome, everybody, to Earth Waking Media podcast number 1. I'm here with my family at Earth Waking Village. Say hi, everybody.
Hola.
Hey.
And today we are all going to be discussing serving from salvation. And so, what I wanted to get started with is just something very basic, but that I love the distinguishing here is what sin is. And right, so sin, by our definition that we go by here, is a perceived separation from God. And a lot of people think that sin is, all the things that you do wrong or whatever. But if you want to make it as simple as possible, the only reason there's sin is because there's this illusion of being separated from God. And so when you're in separation of God, then that's when you're missing the mark, because now you're being led by your own ego, your own will, instead of by God's will. And so once we break free from that illusion, now we can keep our focus on God and go and sin no more. Of course, we all have our moments still when we slip up. We forget that God is on the throne and we get too caught up in our own head space and produce fruit that we're not necessarily happy about. And so I think that's a good place to start. And anybody have anything coming up on that? Yeah.
What's your name?
My name is Dennis, and like what's coming up with what you just shared, Josue, is like I just been noticing. Like today, I had like just multiple just shits, and what I mean by that is letting go of the sin that I've been holding on to uh, for the past since Thursday of last week, and it was just so many like different like mini breakthroughs and shifts in perception, and I just appreciate what you shared, because one of the things that I'm recognizing like through this past week, a way that I like a register that I can determine whether or not I'm in sin or if I'm in peace, love, and joy, is when I'm frustrated. And so like that's my ego's thing, is to be like frustration. And so Um, yeah, it's you know, there's a part of me that has been thinking that I can do my way into heaven, and it doesn't work. It's very painful, is what I've been finding out the hard way. Unless you want to let it go. And another thing um is I can't do it. Like it's not up it's literally a surrendering of what I thought that I knew, and that's where Jesus comes in. That's where grace comes in. Um, so yeah, going back to the things that came up today is like I felt like my little boy, if he didn't keep things together, like the program. This is not the program that I'm sharing with you guys. The program is that if I don't keep things together, um, and they fall apart, I'm going to get punished. And so I've been holding on to things so that they wouldn't fall apart, rather than just letting them go and and letting God. And so I've literally been like taking constructs that have been constructs on me, and I've been placing them on other people, rather than allowing inspiration to just pop up and like everybody just come from inspiration. I've been like putting my own construct on it, and it's very. I can imagine if I were to guess, it probably feels very suffocating and constricting, and I've been doing that to my little boy, you know. So, um, yeah, being spirit led.
Anybody?
My name is Marquise, and man, I feel everything you were saying, especially the part where you talked about working your way to heaven. And I feel like I've been trying to do the good, better, best to save myself. I think that's what the sermon was about, from salvation, not trying to get salvation, trying to be saved. I felt like I was, if I do good and I pray and I just do and be a good Samaritan to everybody, I felt like, that would get me into heaven. But I understand now that I'm already saved. I'm already a child of God. I'm already home. You know what I mean? Like I'm already in heaven, being right here in the village. Something else that was coming up, transformation. Man, transformation, it can happen every day if that's what you are focused on. If you dial it in and direct your energy towards transformation as a child of God, you know, then the abundance flows without you having to do anything. You're already abundant, and that's where I am right now.
Okay. Um, what I can tell. Excuse me. Ah, my name is David Mambo Christian. Sunshine Lady. uh,
This man has a lot of names, people.
What's coming up right now?
many names, one spirit, one soul that belongs to God, and that possibly it's one of the hardest thing to understand in this trip into the kingdom, where yes, we were raised in a society, in a world that it's all about giving to get. If you don't give, you don't get either money. How are you gonna survive? Ah, old patterns. Um, where like yes, we think we gotta make our way to heaven because nobody ever told us that was already there, that we were already there, that we everything has been given already, and the lie that we supposed to be doing in order to get salvation, when salvation is here, is grace, and it's manifested just with every single person that is around us. That's God. In understanding that yes, these people just love you with that love that the Father has, is so you don't have to do anything from the need of how to do anything, but you get to do this for the Father. for your family, for your community. It's a game changer that give you the peace and the joy that just the Father can provide. So that's where I am right now, even while piling shed compost. It's amazing, and I do it with all the joy in the world for Him, for the ones to come. So thank you. Mhm. Next.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Sarah Jean, and I think that the biggest takeaways that I got from that sermon were one is believing in the one whom the Father has sent. Like, you can't start anywhere unless you start there, because that's coming from your salvation, is when you truly believe, and you can't earn it. It's an unearned gift from God, and it's so no one can boast, because we constantly have been taught to do things um, from pride, for self-righteousness, for to like, look at me. We thought love was attention, or how many achievements we had, or what our score was on our report card. We didn't know that we actually were a gift from God that was born from the foundations of the earth. Like, we don't know that when we're born into sin. And so we have to be born again, and that is with His Spirit, when He's the center of our relationship every single day. So it goes into being born into servants, like to serve from that salvation and from love. Like, he was talking about how every act is a form of worship. And what kind of world would we live in if everyone was coming from that space? It wasn't just about our work and what we did, or, any of that. It's even if we're cleaning our toilet, or, I mean, I walked out of the house today with Dennis, and we came to the house and we had a new toilet. And I'm like, we finally get to take a poop in our because we've been running down every day because we couldn't poop in there, and Noel knows this very well. But think about that. We take an emotional, like letting go of all the false things, and we are finally able to actually take a poop. It's kind of weird, that symbolic message. Sorry if that offends any of you, and you're welcome. But it really does go to that. It's like we have been packing and stacking our emotions and what we think that we're supposed to be, even for ourselves, and to the world. And when we finally let that go, we let that shit go, we can finally actually be who we were always created to be in the world. I mean, we took massive things off of us today. I mean, from leadership and who we need to be inside of, even for the mission, and that was dropped off now. And I'm like, wow, I feel a weight has just flown off me. And so, yeah, go team. Who's next?
Hello, my name's Yarixa.
And I'm Josue, by the way. I forgot to introduce myself. Doesn't matter. This is my beautiful wife.
Yeah, we're one, so it's okay, I guess. Yeah, this conversation is amazing because it's literally what I've been focusing on, and I'm about to go on a 4-month journey where my goal is to just be in total 100% flow with God. And so now I'm starting to learn a lot about what that even means, because I thought I had a lot of faith beforehand. However, it was me like controlling and me planning and me like making the steps 1, 2, 3 to be able to get the blessing that I'm asking for. However, I realized how it's not like, if God puts something into your heart, then that's Him calling in the order. And then all you have to do is rest in his current because he's the living water. So you just have to rest in his current so then he can take you where he showed you that you're going. And so the way that you do that, it's like faith. You want to get her? Oh, you want to get her? Because she's like crying. Yeah. That's our beautiful baby. Ilayali Eve. So faith is believing something that you don't see yet. So whenever you're asking the Father for what it is that you want, which is to take you to where he already showed you you're going, then you have to know that as soon as you got that vision, then you don't have to do anything to earn that vision. So you just thank God that he's here, because that's another thing. Like, I was thinking that I had to call him into the room, but he's already here. So it's not calling him into the room, it's acknowledging that he's already in the room. And that's how you have a relationship with the Most High, knowing that he's here already. And so that's how you can, when you have faith, you know that he's going to give you what it is. And so you don't have to plan in the future, because things like for example, let's say like I'm going on a trip and then I miss my flight, and then I could either be super upset because I'm trying to control, like, oh no, I had my flight and I thought I was going to get there and now I'm going to miss 10 days or whatever, right? But no, it's like God probably made you miss that flight because the plane was about to fall and you're going to be in that plane, like you just never know why things are happening. And so just like today, Marquise had like he chopped the water pipe, and it could have gone bad. He could have been feeling like a lot of guilt and shame. However, God did that. And why did he do that? We may never know, but it was so he can take a pause and he can reflect, like, oh, thank God that I did this, because now I get to think about him again, because it's something that went not the way that we thought it was going to go. And so, yeah, that's my share. Who's next?
Yeah. Spanish? No. My name is Johan. My perception for that question is like yeah, working. Or actually, I don't feel it's working. It's like I poured my energy in contribution for God kingdom. Yeah, like today I think so. I'm around to the conversation, to the similar conversation. Kelly, I think so. Yes, it's I think like working in God kingdom or contribution in God kingdom, like it's other level because people live in the present, people live in the moment, people appreciate enjoying it, what's happening, what's going on right now. Like Babylon, like bring the offer for like, yeah, this is the work and the salary for you, but is like a offer for going to like a automatic prison, like this for you. You live in the future. People, many people in Babylon, working in the present, but you, Brian, live in the future. Oh, many people live in the past, like it's working in the present, but you, Brian, you heard it's in the past in traumas. Anyways, the point is I'm very um privileged for a port to the God talenters on my body, um for use that talenters and contribution come back to the energy to God. return that energy, enjoy the situation, enjoy the moment, feel like I'm apport my energy in the work in the God kingdom is no the concept for I'm working for that thing. I don't need it like receive anything for return to God energy because the gift is like the one new day for working for God. Actually, this is the gift. So yeah, and I think so. This is my perception for that question, buddy. Thank you so much.
Yeah, one thing I want to speak on is like once you learn that and you figure out that sin is just a perceived separation from God, that's like you thinking that you were an orphan this whole time, and then all of a sudden realizing that you have your father. And so that's why we're saying that we're you can't you're automatically loved by your father. You don't need to work and do things to for your father to love you. Like my daughter doesn't need to run a business, or she doesn't need to work in the garden or any of that, to just simply by her being born, I just fell completely in love with her. And so if I could love a baby that much just from her presence, like imagine how much God loves us just from us being here. And so now coming from that place, oh, I was never lost. My father was always here just waiting for me to come home. Now from that place, what comes to mind is one of the verses in the book of James when he's saying, I'll show you my faith by my works. And so this is how we show people now that we are children of God, is by how we serve one another, how we serve ourselves, how we serve our family, our community. Now this is us showing other people that we are children of God. We are followers of the way. We are followers of Christ by the way that we live our life. And so I think this is an important step, is first getting the grace, get receiving the love from God, receiving that first, and now you're in a good position to go out and share that love and share that with the rest of the people.
Hey, so my name is Bianca, and I want to riff off that. I don't know exactly what I'm going to say. However, I know the name of this sermon is Serving from Salvation. And so three things come to mind. One is where you're coming from is where you're going. So what Josue was saying, we are now, because we know we're saved, we get to serve, but we're not doing it to be saved. And so we do it because we're saved and we know who our Savior is. And so it's just natural. And another one that comes to mind is seek first the kingdom. So if you're coming from the kingdom, where you're coming from is where you're going, and you get to receive it. A lot of people try to get somewhere, and guess what happens when you get there?
What?
You're still got that void because where you're coming from is where you're going. So if you feel like you need to get this thing so you could be somewhere or be someone, guess what? Once you get there, it ain't it. So it's not the thing that you want, it's what you think it's going to get you. So start there. Seek first the kingdom. And also, it's by grace through faith that we're saved. So it's not by what we do. And however, once you are saved, it's a gift you get to be for the world. So that's all I got for now.
Yeah, exactly. And from that place, that's where we want to start, right? Is always coming from that love, coming from a place of assisting and being a benefit to the community that you're in. And another thing that stuck out to me from the sermon of serving from salvation is that we've always we've always been the way of being that God intended us to be. Yet it's all these different masks and it's all these different programs and other people's perspectives that get put onto us that make it difficult for us to see the truth. And so until you remove all that stuff, you could all the serving and everything is it could be coming from a selfish place because or what? A self-abandoning place? Yeah, as well. Yeah, and because of that, then it's all about the energy that's being put out, right? So if you're coming from a place of lack or from abandonment or like you don't have a true relationship with God, then it's gonna that energy is gonna transfer in everything that you do. And so you could be saying all the right things and it's just it's not gonna land with the people that you're with, or it's not gonna have that transformation in your life that you're looking for because you're not coming from a place of love until you start ripping off all the mask or taking all the shits that you need to take in order to get all of that off of you and out of you. Then that's when you're fully able to receive the love and the grace of God. And from that place, man, everything just opens up to you. And it's just it's a complete life altering moment when all the masks fall off and you start to really receive the grace, whether it be for the first time or if you're one of those people that's like me sometimes is hard-headed, then you get the lesson, you don't fully get it, so then God sends a bigger lesson for you, and then if you don't get that one, then it's going to hurt even more, and then it'll come back again until you finally get it, and then you're finally able to, no matter what moment that you end up in, you're able to tap into that. You're able to come from that place more and more. And then before you know it, then you're able to just stay in peace and love at all times. You got something, Lamont?
I do. Thanks, guys. So, serving from salvation. Oh, well, he already said Lamont, but here I am, guys. It's Lamont, guys and ladies. And so, serving from salvation. You know, I've been here at Earthwaking Village for a couple of months, and I knew instantly from being here that I came here to serve from salvation because, you know, I've been along in the years, over 50, and, you know, I lived in Babylon or the Matrix or the beast system, whatever you call it. It's a system that teaches you how to follow a blueprint. And the blueprint that they're teaching you is not always about taking the win, which is basically living a life of, you know, your God spirit. And you're always immersed in following the next thing to get to that place, you know, serving to get, giving to get, working in a protocol that shows you that you're never good enough. You always have to go to school. You always have to get married. You have to get to a place where you can retire someday, get the gold watch, and finally someday you may have some peace. And then, of course, you're being promised that if you do all the right things, that you will be in heaven or get to heaven. I'm a recovering Roman Catholic, and I've discovered that it's not always about coming from sin and always asking for forgiveness. At the end of the day, what I'm discovering from being a part of this village is that we're all the body of Christ, which means we can all pay attention to how all of us are taking care of the leadership qualities of our lives, where we're looking at all these different distinctions, where we're looking at language and how this works in our lives. How do we live our lives, right? So, in other words, I'm realizing that I'm not striving to get to heaven. The Bible will say it, and people will also remind me here that heaven is within you and heaven is within myself. And everything that I know from following Jesus Christ is that if we do the work necessary from serving from salvation, is that I'm already there. I've come here for a reason. I've come here for a reason because my family, friends, and other people are really asking questions as to why I would do such a thing. Why would I leave my country to come to this country and join this beautiful Christian community, which I would call the God-loving boot camp, and figure out how you have to live in heaven while you're here, in my opinion. I'm not concerned about later. I'm right now wanting to be feeling good about my decisions, being in community with people to understand that everything I've learned about, Jesus Christ's disciples is that they never really got along sometimes, but they always came together when Jesus Christ needed help. Okay. The Romans came down, or the Pharisees, or the Sadducees, is that they were always together when Jesus Christ needed help. And at the end of the day, what I've noticed here in the village is that some days we need some help, and we've got some support here, right? So I will turn off my little alarm here, and I will pass off the mic to somebody else. Serving from salvation, and I'm complete.
Nice.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, awesome.
Hi, my name is Noel, and I had so many different impressions through all the sharing. I'm kind of in a little bit of a dark night of the soul as far as climbing up the mountain. I just see it like you just, oh, a vista, I'm all so high, and then back into the forest again for another circle around the mountain to get a little higher and a little higher. But serving from salvation wise, the thing that I do that I feel the most out of the way with is breakthroughs, emotional breakthroughs. And during those, I just pray so hard. You, Holy Spirit, you, Jesus, you, God, not me. And I think my prayers are sincere enough that I am responded to, that it really comes through, and there's nothing that feels better so far. And I feel like there's more on the journey to discover, that I will be doing, but that is something that I feel like is solid ground. But the sin, I'm still struggling because I had such an orphan mentality for so long with receiving God's love. And it's not like I don't spend I am connected all the time, but there's something that I seem to have a block about receiving, and I'm not quite sure how to get that out, but thankfully that's not my job. I don't have the power to do that. And I can trust that wherever I'm at is precisely where I need to be for whatever reason God says. I mean, there's somebody that, may benefit because I'm where I am. And somebody out there, oh, that's wonderful. That person seems like they've got something figured out, but they're still struggling in another way. And I know that fact of my not having arrived in some kind of a peace, love, and joy, fruits of the Spirit place has served people. I've been told the fact that I could tell you how much you loathed yourself. You used to just hate yourself so bad, and that you've come a distance. I see that you can get me, and I value that, so, and that helped me turn a corner. So whatever it is, God, I'm willing, and I love, and I just thought of it, I think yesterday, the fruits of the Spirit are peace, love, and joy, and blessed are the poor in spirit, because they got to ask for Jesus all day long. And today, that's my story. And that's not always my story, but right now that's where I'm at, and just got to, just be with me, because I can't do this on my own. I just don't have anything within myself to get me out of a hole that I put myself in, and you can. So that's what I have for today. Thank you.
Yeah, that it reminds me of the reason why Jesus told us that the first and most important commandment is love God with all of your heart, all of your mind, all of your soul, all of your strength. Because if you skip the first step, then everything after that is just going to crumble. First things first, second things not at all. So the first thing is to love God. And if we don't keep that first, then we're not going to be coming from the right place. And so in the old world, when we were doing things for other people, it was to get something for ourselves. And so we weren't really giving, we were just wanting to receive something. But when you love God first, then that means being able to do everything in the light of God. And then serving people after you love God first serving people is just going to come a lot more natural, and it's going to produce much better fruit when we keep the first things first. Yeah. You had something, Sarah?
I like how. Would you like to share? Oh, thank you. My name's Sarah. We have a baby at the table. She makes people happy for no reason. And that's a good reminder for me because I think we make God happy for no reason.
Yeah.
And knowing that and then being able to live into that for me have been wildly worlds apart. And I learned this thing a really long time ago. We are not who we think we are. We're not who others think that we are. We are who we think others think we are. So if you were able to track that, which is hard to track the first time, I've known that for a really long time. And so I spent all this time and energy and effort like trying to see the best that people see in me. And I realized today while talking to a friend of mine who's struggling, and I'm at a plateau right now, so I'm, kind of chill, that the reason that I'm kind of chill is because I've been only focused on who God sees me as. And so God says that we're made pure, holy, and blameless. That's a lot to swallow for most of us. It certainly is for me, especially in the moments that I judge myself or I feel judged by someone else and I can't tell if I'm on track or off track. And I just remember who God says I am. And then I act in accordance with that. And I remember that He sees me as that. And in anywhere that I forgot that, I remember that forgetting is just a sin and that He came to the earth and hung in the most atrocious possible manner and died as a blameless being for my sin. So even if I can't believe that I'm walking a blameless life, I can remember that He forgave my sins. And so that's what makes for me serving from salvation possible. It's like I can remember like in those moments where I mess up, which is daily, every day, every hour, that I can forgive myself because He forgave me. So, and then the more I forgive myself, it's just like a cakewalk to forgive others. I feel like I'm harder on myself than I am on others. So it makes a difference for me. That's what I got.
Yeah. Yeah, forgiving yourself is super, super important. Dennis has something. That's a great point because, like, why are we so hard on ourselves if God already forgave us? But at the same time, it's tricky because your ego just wants to keep you in that victim type mentality.
Yes, and every time that we forget, like it's like we say around here, salvation is a point and freedom is a process.
Mhm.
And like today was really present for me. And to just be present with, if I'm not serving from salvation, I'm probably carrying something with me from my past that is unhealed or a wound or something. So, one of the things that I'm committed to doing is come from this place of salvation and like spend time in the mirror and like just
You mean that figuratively or literally?
literally.
Literally. So you're just
Yes.
looking at yourself in the mirror?
Yes.
Okay.
And spending time in the mirror and like we're in the kingdom, like we're here. And what my ego continues to want to do is not believe that. And so it creates problems and things for me to go solve so that I'm no longer in the kingdom. And I'm actually doing things for salvation rather than from salvation. And so that's the program, the blueprint, like Lamont said, that I've been holding on to, and it's just really like coming into my awareness. So I'm committed to spending time with that little boy and just receiving God's love from the context of being like receiving salvation. And so yeah, that's where I'm. Thank you.
Yeah, Sarah has something.
You were you were talking about salvation as a point and freedom as a process. It reminded me of what we learned in the Bible study about imputed righteousness and imparted righteousness. And imputed is the one where God came into our sin and he gave us salvation. It's a free gift. But then you're bonded to his righteousness and you've got to get all the stuff off of you. So that's the imparted righteousness that we're continuing to go. I'm like, I thought I already got this one down. I thought I already passed this one. And you keep bumping into the thing and it's like, no, it might be another layer, a deepening of the relationship that you're having with him because he's having you walk through a fire that no one's walked before. You know, and so we tend as human beings to look at our circumstances and think like, oh, I must be doing something wrong because now I'm faced with this again. And it's like, no, it's actually something completely different. And we can't see the picture when we're inside of it. But what we can do is to ask to see it through his eyes in that moment, because that's why we need him. We need him in our daily life. And these are the moments where we can show that. Like we think that our vulnerability or our meekness is a weakness. And it's actually our greatest strength because it's how he's shown through us. And that imparted righteousness doesn't stop until we're with our Lord and Savior in heaven. That doesn't mean that it's not coming down to earth and that we're not going to experience it here on earth. He's given those spirits as gifts, but we're walking through the journey. We can't get all the way to the end line because then we'd miss this part. And he's just asking for us to just like, hey, can you be here with me now? Can you enjoy this moment with me now? Even if it looks crazy and it looks messed up or whatnot, like in those moments, you see the greatest relationships formed, like in a hurricane or, you know, people together, gather together. You think it's the most horrendous thing that happens, but the people, faith and their bond with each other grows so much more. So you have no idea what the Spirit's doing or what the Spirit is moving. And he's already, this is one of his promises that he's going to see it through all the way to the finish line. It's already done. And we can work from that space. Like tetelestai, it's already finished. It's already complete. And we can just rest in that now. And thank you for that reminder coming through this vessel. Amen.
Amen to that. Yeah. Did you have something, Marquis?
Yeah, it all sounds good. But it's like, man, when you come from heaven, come from the source, we all come from the source. We have the source in us. When we arrive here, we are innocent as Yali. But the programming is what wipes all of that clean. Like we don't forget. It's erased. It's erased. Like, man, I'm from Texas. I was born in a little donut hole that was surrounded by the richest people in Texas. Like right across the highway, some of the richest people in Texas live in Westover Hills, like 5 minutes from my house. But within that donut hole was by the time I was born, there was nothing but, you know, drugs and gangs and violence and 20 churches on 20 streets I'm below the Bible Belt in the South. Like this is like the ghetto. Is that what you call it? The ghetto?
Okay. Yeah.
I hate that word. I have a strong dislike for ghetto. But I mean, it's like that's where I'm from. So it's like it's gonna take a whole lot to scrape off for me to even feel like I'm clean. I can let all of that go. Growing up, seeing people die like every day. Somebody's kid died, somebody's mom died, somebody's grandma died. This was every day. And then to have children and, and be married and, it's like, yes, we had church. Like I've probably been baptized 3 times now in my 47 years. It's like,
Yeah.
that's all we knew other than having to go outside and socialize with the people. Like I couldn't leave the porch or leave the yard until I knew how to defend myself. You know what I'm saying? Like I had neighbors who would make us put on boxing gloves. You know what I mean? Like we had to put on boxing gloves. You got to learn how to fight. Like there are no punks here.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm out of time, and whenever it comes
Very
back
good.
to me, but that's just
Does
where I
anybody
am.
have
It's like
anything?
it's not easy getting to where y'all trying to make it seem like everybody is. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to bring the mood down.
No, you're good.
No, you
No,
didn't. You
did it.
didn't. And
I'm moving back to Ocho, bro.
that actually was a statement where I grew up, like Hollywood, LA. That was a statement that was brought out, is ghetto. And it was actually cool to be ghetto. It was brought out to that was actually a cool thing to do. And I didn't have much of church. My parents didn't, have us go to church or whatnot, but I know about the feeling of having to fight. Like I fought my whole life and I didn't want to. Like I remember the first fight that I got into, my mom told me, "You're not allowed back inside of this house unless you fight her. You're not going to be able to come back inside of here unless you do that." And I'm like, I don't want to. Like, I don't want to do that, and I'm terrified. I'm scared. And then what ended up was born that day because she kicked me in my shins and I hit her. The fighter was born. I never was afraid ever again. Everyone was afraid of me. And I got stuff out of that, like friendships. People wouldn't talk crap about my family anymore, you know, and it hurt a lot in the long run. And I'm not saying that after you get salvation that it's easy peasy. I'm saying that there is a peace that surpasses all understanding that does come upon you when you decide to receive it. And
Yeah.
I've done so many things in my life, and I can choose to go into guilt or shame or any of that. But then I'm also showing that my children deserve to whip themselves. And I'm done doing that. I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to keep hurting myself thinking, because that's also a program, thinking that that is something that is okay to do. That's significance. That is saying, let me be very significant to stay in my pain and to stay in the suffering while everyone's suffering. It's like, here, let me suffer for you. Like, that's another program that my mom had too. It's like, I'm going to suffer and I'm going to take this on for you so you can have a life. But it's the program of what they want us to have for us, and if we don't fulfill that, then we also feel like that is on us too. And so I think there's just something so much greater than we can possibly fathom. And that is the peace that surpasses all understanding. And we have to stop trying to understand or do our way into thinking that we can do something to make up for our sin. We can't. But I know a guy.
I know a guy
I
for
know
sure.
a guy.
Yeah, thank God for the Prince of Peace. And yeah, that brings me to what I want to mention now is because some people, may not know how to love God with all of their heart. And one thing that I noticed, even about my upbringing, is that I wasn't always a good receiver either. So maybe there's someone watching that isn't a good receiver. They don't know how to receive God's love, or they don't know how to love God. Does anybody have anything for that person?
What's your name?
My name is Megan, and I had a breakthrough around loving God and God loving me around dogs. And dog is spelt God backwards, and I feel like the way that dogs love us and the way that I can love a dog just for being a dog, and a dog can love me just for being me, is how I can love God just for being God, and God can love me just for being me. So it was around a dog, and maybe that's helpful because it was helpful to me. So.
Yeah, somebody might for sure. Anybody else? Let's take it this way so they can look at the new faces that just arrived. Take it out, take it out. All right.
Serving from salvation.
Noel will be after Sarah.
Yeah, so I didn't really grow up with God. It was mostly judgment, and like if you don't go to church on Sunday, then you're frowned upon.
Yeah.
And all the behaviors, like I wanted to just completely do the opposite of what they were doing because I could feel the hypocrisy, the anger, the aggression, and I was completely wrong, by the way. But I tried everything. I tried everything else, and what it led me down was a dark rabbit hole of sin, pleasure, gratification, and I felt so empty inside. And I didn't do anything to earn this, but it was when I was going to commit suicide where God called me on the phone and gave me a gift. And I didn't do anything for that, but He called me on the phone and He saved me from that moment of committing suicide. And ever since that moment, I'd been wondering how to get to Him. And so He's coming for you. You're His kid. And no matter how far away that you try to go or how far it is that you think that you are, He's right there with you. He has that seed inside of you, and it's not going anywhere. And that's the thing that you keep on trying to fill through your relationships, through your careers, through the next car, the next house, the next vacation. And that ain't it. I've tried all those, and it don't work until you turn around and you grow your spirit and you set all of those things down. So that's what I got.
Nice. The good shepherd. That's what came up for me. Is like when Jesus talks about, if you have 100 sheep and one of them goes astray, like you're gonna celebrate for that one child that you find.
Yeah.
There was a few components. I was raised by a atheist who was such an atheist that he wrote books on the subject.
Oh,
And I thought
nice.
everybody who thought anything positive about God was an absolute moron. And to the extent I'd read a good book and close it up, moron, if they mentioned God halfway through it, even if I was loving the book, I just thought, can't take anything from that person. So I didn't have, practice receiving from God that I was aware of. But I really was a free range baby in New York City, and I was protected. I never was raped. I just, there were so many ways. And now that I have, really welcomed God into my life and my heart, I just see, literally like hanging out a window of a tenement building, picking little stones out, and somebody says, go back in. It's not safe. You're going to fall. And there's nobody there. It was just some somebody who cared about me. And so I, on like some back burner of my consciousness, I was aware of that the whole way through, which just touches me and so beautiful. But anyway, I did at a few points in like critical points in my life, like when I was getting locked up in mental hospitals or around those times, have like words come like I know you don't feel worthy, but are you willing to be worthy if that was a possibility? And I, yeah, I'm willing to be worthy. And I just burst into tears. But that kind of like, that didn't come from me. That wasn't in my repertoire of thinking at the time. So I had a few things, but the most potent thing that I did to help myself come to be open to God was open to my child self, the pain that I was running from. I had trauma as a kid. I did not want anything to do with that broken, wounded kid. I wanted to be as far away as possible. And then one day I couldn't take the pain anymore. And I turned around and I had this image of like Gandhi on his fast, where there's a starving, emaciated little old man. And I picked up this baby. Oh my God, I've been running from you and you're about to die, and I held on to this thing and I loved this thing. And I had already had a baby, so I knew about nursing. I nursed the thing and just said, I'm not going to leave you anymore. I'm going to be with you for every little nook and cranny of that pain you're feeling. And I do that to this day. That is like, when I'm suffering, I can go in and I just be with myself. And it's not comfortable, but it's the loop is closed. And now I feel like I have Jesus and God, and now an incredible village who serves from their salvation incredibly. And our leaders are just like, I mean, the people that founded this organization are just absolutely amazing servers from salvation. So all of this is going on now to strengthen the receiving of God. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
What's your name?
My name's Michael. Yeah, so for me, I definitely, at a very young age, I felt like there was something missing. Like this? Is that adequate? I felt like there was something missing, and there was like this hole that I was just trying to fill with anything and everything. And I didn't really understand what it was. I just knew that no matter how much I tried to put in there, nothing really worked for any amount of time. And ultimately, I felt unwanted. I felt unworthy. I felt unloved, unlovable, just so many different things. And it's interesting that whenever we have these feelings inside of ourselves, how we take these actions that actually reinforce that. And so we start to pile on all of these things that we do that just say, like, see this thing? You see this thing that you did? Like, you're unworthy. No. You see what you just did there? That's unlovable. And so that went on until almost a year ago, almost to the day. And I found myself in a space of Christ-centered people, heart-centered people, loving people. And I was able to bring something up and out that I thought that would just give me the most ridicule, the most just backlash, like the most horrendous response I would have expected. And after I got done having the biggest breakdown of my entire life, bawling, crying, screaming, I look up at this room full of like 60 people and all I see is just love pouring through. And it was like, oh, even then, like even then, no matter how bad it may seem, no matter how much stuff we've done, no matter what, like that love is always right there. And it was in that moment that I chose to accept Christ into my heart. And I realized that the thing that I had been seeking to fill, that eternity-sized hole that was within my being, that was the space where Christ always wanted to be. That was the space where Christ was preparing this vessel, this being, to actually be able to embody. And in all of those spaces where you feel as though you're too broken, those are the spots where God can shine through the most. And all of those times whenever you felt as though you could not get up and somehow you managed to find the strength, whether you realize it or not, those are the times that God picked you up and propelled you forward. And so for me, the key component there was actually being able to own those things that made me feel as though I was unworthy of God's love, and being able to get that up and out into the light, because once it's in the light, it can't help but burn in love. And then from that space, that is the space in which we can choose to receive to receive the love of God, to truly allow Him to love us. Because it's always right there. It's just we do all these things that attempt to bar it out. So remove the barriers, remove the blocks, remove the obstacles, speak what's going on inside of you, and just let Him love you.
That is serving from salvation.
Yeah.
All right. Beautiful, Michael. Dennis is gonna go, and then you could go, Marquise.
So what I've been noticing, and thank you, Michael, for that, is anytime that I am not serving from salvation, like if I'm like example this past week, like I've been sharing, there's a wounded little boy. Like I'm not living in the present, and because I'm not living in the present, I'm living from a past program that's unhealed. And so what I shared about earlier, as far as going back into the mirror, and loving that little boy, um, I just lost where I was going, and I'm here right now. But so what I noticed is that, like, this past week, like I was not living in the present moment. I was not being grateful for what is, and I was living from my past, like from my past program of that hurt little boy. And so what needed to happen is for me to go back and to love that little boy and to receive God's love in those moments that I had actually abandoned him. And I was abandoning my little boy this whole week. Like he was left out, and all he wanted to be was to be loved and to be taken, to be brought along with the journey and be let known, like, hey, it's okay. Like I'm here, and you're loved, and God's got you, and we're here. We made it. We're in the kingdom.
Yes.
And so just a reminder, gratitude and being present. And if we're not being present, if we're noticing that we're coming from the past, like, at least for me, like I know that there's something that's unhealed. And just to go back and love that little boy. And so that's all I got.
Man, thank you, Dennis. That's exactly where I was going. Trying to get back to loving that little kid. Like, for a minute, my perspective was I was force fed the Bible. You know what I mean? Like I was. It was church.
Shoved down your throat.
It was church. It was church, and it was work. You know what I mean? Like I was washing dishes, taking trash out, and cutting grass. Like before I was 10. Yes, I was earning an allowance, but it was like it was work, and it was church and church. All those churches that I grew up around. Like out of the 20, I know I went to at least 5 of them. But the main thing is that little boy. I lost my great grandmother who introduced me to the Bible. Me and my mom lived with her for like my first 7 years, and when I lost her, I kind of stepped away from the church and the Bible, and you know what I'm saying? Like, I just wanted to be a kid. I just wanted to play and just have fun, but everything outside of church and home was like awful. It was just awful, bro. Like, and it's like you couldn't I couldn't express myself. I couldn't, go and talk to anybody crying about anything. It's like, suck that shit up. Life goes on. Get over it. You know what I mean? But being introduced to the Earth Waking Village, it's like I actually had time to go back and look at that and go back and give myself love and understand that everything happened for a reason. It was all in divine timing, that I made it here, and now I'm present to the present of the present. You know what I mean? It's like it was a big transformation as far as just being able to sit with myself and understand exactly what I've been through every time I went through whatever it was I was going through. God had his hand in it the whole time.
Beautiful. Anybody else have something? Yeah, well, one thing that I noticed has helped develop like that receiving muscle is is just practicing with the little things. When someone, you know, gives you a compliment or they give you something, instead of just returning it right away, just say thank you and just sit in it without like feeling like you have to tell them something back right away, right? So that's like a very simple thing that you could just get used to, just receiving without feeling like you have to do anything. Just be present with it. And another thing that I found helpful in my life is using the name of God, right? So God told us that his name is I am. And so one of the things that I love to do is say something like, I am open and willing to receive the love of God. I am open and willing to receive your love. I am open and willing to receive your grace. I am open and willing to receive your abundance. I'm open and willing to receive your mercy. And just really getting deep into it and just saying it until you truly feel it. Because if you're not used to it at first, then maybe the first couple of times that you say it's not going to hold any energy because it's not what you truly have felt in the past. But the more you say it to yourself, the more that you put it out there, the more that you're going to start seeing evidence of those things being true. And so once you start to see evidence, then it becomes even easier. Then your body starts to get excited every time you see it. And now it's happening more and more in your life simply because you decided that that's who you were. You were using God's name for growing and for developing your relationship with God instead of using God's name in vain, which most people do by saying things like, oh, I am broke, or I'm a failure, I'm worthless. This is how a lot of people use God's name. And so you can use God to take yourself to hell by going back to sin. How we started this thing is perceiving yourself separate from God, or you could be in the kingdom right now by being open to that and allowing God's grace to just fill up your body. And really, you know, like I forgot who was it, that I think it was Michael that said like you got, by going back, or Dennis, by going back to those moments where when you were a child and you had that trauma, and going back to those moments and seeing when you were broken, and that was when God was there with you, filling you up. And the reason why I feel like this works so well is because, you know, you close your eyes and you take yourself back to that moment. Now you're not using your two physical eyes that are really good at seeing the illusion and perceiving the wrong thing. And so the Bible says, when your eye be single, then your body should be full of light. And so when you go into that meditative state and you focus there and you say things like, I'm open and willing to receive your light, then all of a sudden your body is going to start actually receiving that. And before you know it, now you're truly coming from a place of love and gratitude. And now every time that the next day you wake up, now it's going to be easier. It's going to be more in your subconscious, and it's going to be more in your awareness. And so from that place, now you can remind yourself. It's just like a friendly reminder, especially when you wake up. That's why praying is the most powerful thing that you can do when you start your day, because automatically you're going within, you're seeking the kingdom first, and now everything that comes after that is just going to be a lot more free flowing because you're not so constrained from whatever it is. Michael got something for you guys. Let's go, Michael. You.
Yeah, so to dovetail off of what Josue was just saying, yeah, these I am declarations, that's one of the first things that God tells us about himself. He declares that his name is the I am that I am, and we are created in his likeness and image. So whenever we make these I am declarations and we're choosing to bring those into our experience, and we begin to see the aspects of that showing up in the world around us, and we begin to take new actions, and then you're no longer coming for anything, you're coming from that space. So that is literally serving from salvation. Once you know that you are love, then you are serving from love. Once you know that you are peace, then you are serving from peace. You're no longer seeking to be filled by your family members or anyone else, because you know your Father has already filled you with everything that you could possibly ever need. Another name of God that he tells us in his word is Yahweh. And so whenever things start to get really crazy, it's just coming back to the breath. It's Yahweh, 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 Yahweh. Focusing on that breath and allowing yourself to come back to center, allowing yourself to come back to God, allowing yourself to come back to yourself, and not getting caught up in the spirals of the perceptually crazy world around you. Thank you.
Beautiful. Awesome. And so yeah, that's awesome. And maybe we'll put a I am declaration type of thing that you can go over in the description of the video. And we're also gonna tag Jonathan England's video of what's up, guys. So funny story, my memory ran out on the video before we ended up finishing, but we were basically done. I was just saying that I was gonna post Jonathan England's sermon video and attach it to this video, so that way you guys can go check it out and see why we were talking about serving from salvation in the first place. So make sure you guys subscribe so that way you can stay tuned with Earth Waking Media and our podcast. Peace.